Hi everybody, hello and welcome back to tonight's tutorial. Tarot with Anne-Marie here for some more wonderful sort of nuggets about the tarot cards. So the card that we are going to be looking at tonight, the Nine of Wands. And I've been feeling this card all day long. I wonder if anyone else has. It's just one of those things where you feel it's a bit of a day like this. So with no sort of further ado, I'm going to jump right in because there's a lot to say about this card. So here we are. Let's have a look. And so there is the Nine of Wands, and the Nine of Wands shows a weak looking man holding on to a wand with 8 other upright wands standing behind them. Hi Passionate Saji, hello, how are you? Just making sure that my network's correct and hopefully we don't have any lighting problems like we had the other night. Hi. Oh gosh, it's been one of those Nine of Wands days for me today, I must say. So what does it feel like? Well, here's this weak looking man holding on to a wand with the other wands standing behind him. Now this man looks as if he's injured, but he still seems ready to fight another battle, and he deserves to win. He's got a look of hope and determination that should help him go through one last battle. So this is a card that shows a mix of challenge, hope, and triumph. Okay, so the Nine of Wands is showing this man clutching his wand, and he's looking over his shoulder towards those 8 that are looming behind him. Notice, people, that this looks like another stage card. If you are been doing the same all day, I tell you, Passionate Saji, you're going for one of the tutorials. It's not because I'm watching myself, it's because I'm actually editing like crazy all these shorts and clients and music that I had bought and was licensed 4 or 5 times this week. Copyrights coming up due to the fact that they have decided they're not going to allow us, having paid for a license, to use that. So, well, whatever. So I've had to very quickly try and get things sorted out. I hope it is now. Not monetized, but if ever I am, I'd quite like to not have that video not monetized, because that's what it suggests. So been doing as I'm told, although it's very confusing when you think that you've gone through the right channels. So that's what I mean. It's been one of those days. So this guy looks as if he is weary and worn, as though he's been through a battle. Know the feeling? And now he must face additional challenges, because he's got the presence of those 8 of Wands that are looming up behind him. I was talking about this being a stage card. I do that all the time. I'm really sorry. It's because we're interacting and, you know, if somebody's speaking to me, I stop what I'm saying and then I forget what I'm saying. Forgive me. So, you know, we've got this whole thing of stage cards. And it just means that if we look carefully at the Rider-Waite card, and this is the borderless stack, that we can see what looks like somebody's pulled down the screen behind. There's a line at the bottom, and if we look at how he's standing, I don't know much ground that's as flat as that. There is, of course, it can be, you know, smooth concrete finishes, or more like a stage. So what does that tell us? Just to remember that that could be a scene that our figure is in, just to demonstrate that life has these difficulties. And with the Wand family, we know it's action. So there's more battles that he feels he's now got to face. Additional challenges, because we've got the 8 of Wands behind. And as a 9, this is his final challenge before he reaches his goal, which will be a 10, of course. He must endure the last test of his strength and character before reaching the finish line. So the 9 of Wands is a sign that you should stand upright and tall and strong, even in the face of adversity. You might be on the edge of exhaustion, physical exhaustion, because of the suit of Wands, but you are resilient and you're persistent and are ready to do what it takes to get to the finish line. So this card might come out when you're feeling battered and bruised, having endured significant multiple challenges and struggles. It's one of those cards when you think that you're just making progress, that you suffer another setback. So the 9 of Wands asks you to trust that this is merely a test of your grit and your resilience, to know that you are getting stronger every time that you overcome an obstacle. Very, very true. So you've got the inner resource that's necessary to overcome these difficulties, even though it seems impossible as we're standing there at that very time. So you've got to see the 9 as if it's an assurance that you will eventually prosper and maintain your position. And if you fail at first, you've got to try again. So the 9 of Wands is a card that's encouraging us to keep pushing, and that we are close to the finish line, but the last mile is always the hardest. So even if we want to give up, this is the final challenge before we reach our goals. So we mustn't let our hopes and dreams that are so close to making a reality. Remember, this is all about actions. So it's the things that we've done or doing in order that we're being challenged and that we need to achieve our goals physically. And others might try and oppose us. They might try and scupper your plans, make life difficult, even attack. So this can be, that you've got to put up your defences. And people often do that because they are fearful or jealous of your success, or they're projecting their insecurities and fears onto you. So it's a card of saying, don't let them get to you. I'm sure we've all had that one. So it's about trying to make a change and get a vital message that we need to share with the world, not to dim our light because of others and their insecurities. We're human after all. And on a positive note, you've got to remember that you've got people that are around and that they can support you. So the 9 of Wands invites you to find those that are going to support you and be your personal bodyguard, if you like, i.e. those that will protect you from challenges and cheer you on and support you up to the finish line. Almost there. 9 out of 10. That's really, really good. Even if others oppose you, you may have more people who support your cause. Time to let them help you. The advice of the 9 of Wands is to make sure that you're establishing your boundaries and protecting those lines. Don't cross that line. That's a boundary. Boundaries are incredibly important. But it's the card of if you allow others to stand in your way, they will drain you and deplete your energy. And that's probably because you've not put your boundaries strongly in place. You've not asserted yourself enough or efficiently or effectively, and you're not protected against those people, i.e. you're not protecting yourself. So this is like defending against attack. And we've got to remember that we're quite capable of being able to do that. We need to determine what it is that we're trying to succeed in order to reach a goal. Sometimes we can be that physically exhausted, that we lose sight of the fact that, what was I doing? You know, you're so busy picking up the pieces that it's hard to remember, can't even remember what you did this morning. We all know that feeling. Life is overwhelming. So you've got to be very determined that you want to succeed and reach your goal, and then communicate those needs of yours to other people. It can be hard because when you're exhausted, and if it's physical exhaustion, it's going to be a lot harder to be able to articulate what you want to actually say. You know, I'm too tired, I can't be bothered. Also, on a different note, don't put too many barriers up, because defending yourself can actually sometimes just push people out, and that prevents others from getting close to you or even helping you. So it's about having conscious awareness that you're proactively using those boundaries to protect your own energy. So if this came up in career or work or even finance, let's say it's work related. Well, the 9 of Wands suggests a high level of tension at work. And that means that you need to defend yourself and your current position. You might be engaged in a difficult or delicate project, or you might have made quite a risky move within the company, and now you are having to answer difficult questions regarding those decisions. You might need to explain clearly what you did and why. And when you're the 9 of Wands, you're not in your best energy, are you? You know, you're battered, very tired. And the bandage on the head, we'll talk about that in a bit. So your job might be threatened because you are feeling that you've got to prove yourself and why your role should be retained. And if it's finances, the 9 of Wands can suggest that you've had some setbacks or losses, maybe in things that financial investments. Don't think that when we say that, it means, you're playing the stock market. It can be you invested, I don't know, in a builder or a painter or a decorator, and they made a complete, pig's ear of it. And you paid a lot of money, and rather than them do any more damage, that investment of yours for that beautiful, aesthetically pleasing home that you so wanted has been jeopardised. And sometimes I'm so fed up, I just want them to go. Well, get them to go now. That's an investment. I mean, you just put it down to, forget about it. So those kind of everyday things that we all suffer, and we go, I cannot believe it. I did my research. This happened, that happened. Sometimes you've got to take a conservative approach, and you've got to keep an emergency fund or a slush fund so you won't be caught off guard if something does go awry. You just have to. Now, what about if we're looking at the 9 of Wands personality? Well, they're very resilient. They're very courageous, very confident, very self-assured. They're also ready to battle, and they can face any challenge thrown at them. However, the 9s are not infallible, and at times they get exhausted. So this is burnout, physical burnout, because we are in the suit of Wands, which is the element of fire. So when people are exhausted physically, they're defensive, maybe even paranoid sometimes, and they feel vulnerable, and they are in a weakened position. And what they need is support, love, and caring to remind them that you have their back. If this is coming up in a relationship reading, Nine of Wands can suggest that this person's been hurt before and now they are completely overwhelmed by the fact that that's going to happen again. It's a familiar story, isn't it? And that can be that they're carrying the scars from the past. So they've got to remember that every relationship is different. And just because there was pain in the past doesn't mean it's coming around again for you next time. Now, it's about telling them to leave the hurt and the pain and to be ready to be more open-minded about future relationships or current relationships. They've got to learn to trust and believe that their feelings are real and that they can exist in current or future relationships. If someone's looking for love, this card says, try not to be too aloof and standoffish with the people that you meet. And so while you might be keen to protect yourself from harm, you might be taking too much of a risk because you're too defensive and you're not open enough and you're not allowing that experience of positivity to come in the form of love. In an established relationship, it's about being mindful that you're not always in the defense mode. So if you're in a relationship, you've got to listen to your partner's point of view and their opinions as much as offer your own. Go and take a sip of water. Any questions, anybody? Okay. So again, you might be more inclined to want to hide a part of yourself from your partner. But all that's going to do is create distrust in the relationship. But on the positive side, the Nine of Wands suggests that even though the relationship has got its challenges, you're still standing by your man. Remember that song? Yeah? Country song, Stand By Your Man or Your Woman. And that you're committed to working things out in action now and in the future. So it's not all doom and gloom. And so despite this being something of a physical sort of action card, again, it can apply the question of spirituality. So yeah, people can feel knocked down by challenge that have come along, maybe from other people. Maybe they're challenged in their spiritual beliefs. You know, how many of us have had to defend, you know, what do you do that for? You know, how can a card tell you about your life? You know, I don't believe in all that claptrap, do you? Surely it's just a money-making racket. Many things have been said. And it does knock you down. And you do feel that they're smoking about your spiritual beliefs. But you need to continue to stand up for what you believe in and start thinking on your feet and have some smart answers. Hello, Miss Queen of Cups. How are you today? You've got a nice little moderator spanner there. So if needed, whenever you're around, you know, Queen of Cups, one of my new moderators alongside Passionate Sergi and Anthony, Gloria, yeah, you know, whoever's on. So, yeah, isn't that good? Wonderful. So, when we've been hurt by someone else's comments or judgments about our views, particularly in the spiritual aspect of our lives, and people say, oh, what's that got to do with it? you are trying to defend yourself. Not at all, and it's not, don't feel obligated and don't feel responsible. It's just really lovely, if people need some help. It's just nice that you can kind of just say hello, and you're so warm and friendly, and I was so pleased to see you, and get here when you can. I totally know that. Oh my word, folks, we are going into the official fall, as the Americans call it. Do you know why they call it that? It's because the sun falls below the line on the, now it's my astrological glyph, it goes down below the horizon. So the sun falls below the horizon, and that's known as the fall. And we're going into the fall, aren't we? So this time next week it will be Halloween, and this weekend we will have an hour going backwards in the UK, and the 3rd of November, I've been told, is when it happens in the United States. So I'll still be here at UK time, 5 p.m. Nothing's changing, but obviously that might be a little different for people because their clocks have changed in different parts of the world. Okay, yes, it just is different, but all the same, yeah. So it's lovely, really is. So, yeah, if you're being tested by other people's comments, oh, you don't believe in astrology, do you? Oh, you don't believe in tarot cards. How could that tell you this, that, and the other? Great answer is because it works. Okay, it works, and yes, I do believe in that. So you've got to hold fast in your beliefs. And yes, we do want to get defensive. And we do know that this is maybe a test of faith for us in our ordeal. And, we've got to have the belief that our own self-discipline and resilience will help pursue our faith. I use tarot and spirituality, or, that as an example, but of course this might be your faith, your religion, your cultural faith, or your choice. People saying to you, oh, you don't worship X, do you? Oh, you don't do that, do you? They do this, that, and the other. It can make us very, very uneasy in everything. And yeah, we've just got to benefit from our self-discipline and be incredibly resilient and just keep pursuing your faith. Now, what about if someone's asking about their health or their well-being? I always say to you, keep it safe and just go, we don't do health, but I can look at your well-being. So you might be determined to find, in something that's been causing you to feel that you're run down and it's physical. And so if this card comes up, it means you're determined to keep fighting through the illness. Oh gosh, I've got this, but it's taking its toll on me, but I'm persevering. I'm going to win this battle. I'm going to get over this flu. I'm going to get over this malaise. I'm going to just keep doing what I've got to do despite the diagnosis. So yeah, we can see that it's taking it out of that person. It's got a bandage on its head. And, this card indicates sometimes the obvious, that, yeah, all of that physical stress can go to the head, particularly if you're Aries. Why? Because the head is associated in astrology with the sign of Aries. Yeah, there are body parts for each sign. If you'd like me to do some of that, put it in the comments and we'll do it. I'll make sure that I prepare a list of all of it for you. And we can do that when we've got a shorter tutorial on a card, or we're doing combinations, whatever you want, okay? So, yeah, this is why he's got a bandage on his head, to show a headache, to show stress in the head. Maybe he's got clumsy, because when we are physically exhausted, we are clumsy, you know. I don't know if I told you 2-3 weeks ago, I've still got the bruise on not on my hip, chasing the dog, you know, one of those things, and boom, you know, I had the dog in my arms. Jack's only about the size of a cat, but that's what he was doing, chasing the cat, and I was like, I've got a live, better get in, go and gild the lily, get ready, and yeah, made me clumsy. Why? Probably because I've been doing too much that day, and it's a normal thing. So lucky enough, I didn't have anything like this fellow, which is, you know, the head. I'm a Cancerian. It all went the stomach area, the side of my stomach, you know, all around that sort of area. That's where I landed, and that's where it always gets me, or the chest, yeah. Sometimes, you know, we've got to look at these things and go, wow. So yeah, we can look at that, you know. It's like there's all sorts of different things, you know, we can look at. It's not about, we don't do health, but what we can do is say, when we are like this poor fellow here, physically exhausted, mentally, emotionally exhausted, like the other suits, you know, and that with the swords for the mental or the emotional, it will take it's a holistic way of things happening that will affect our well-being. And if we are Aries, you can bet your bottom dollar that the head will go. They might not have a headache, but they might be scattered, you know. Each sign has something. So we are in the suit of wands, and that's the element of fire, and that is 3 astrological signs, which is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So, you know, rushing around, defending, protecting. So there may be other injuries that we don't know about that might need bandaging, but we can assume with the bandage on his head, this fellow might be Aries, but I've got more to say on that in a bit. So for now, let's look at the number 9, okay? Number 9 can be inspiration, honesty, and understanding, and that's in tarot, okay? Patience is needed when we get this card. You may have won the battle, but not the war, and you're not through yet. Now's the time to reevaluate matters. So things might be challenging, but you can't give in. It's time to take a breather and catch your breath, but you've got to stay focused, which is hard to do when you're physically exhausted. Things can still be completed. Now, 9 of Wands tells you to be patient, wait, stay alert, keep defending, and be alert as to the changes that are going on around you, rather than get involved and wear yourself out or down. Oh, you've got a list. There you go. Yeah. Well, you know, type a couple in there, because we've talked about it. If you've got a couple to hand, you know this card well. Me too, Jolly James. Hey, hi. We've met before. Hi. Is it Jolie or Jolly? I'm inclined to say Jolie. Nice to meet you. I know this card well. Yeah, me too. I'm not an Aries, but, you know, the bandage can apply to many different parts of it. It's, just being, dealing with everything, defending the whole lot. And times have been hard, but we've got to be prepared to continue fighting and pushing our way forwards by standing up for ourselves and being true to ourselves. And any past failures will be in our mind. We always remember those, don't we? Ah, Jolie James, you have it, and thank you. You're very, very welcome. Lovely to have you along. And yeah, if you've got some experience of this, I was showing mine earlier on, multitasking like nothing on earth, and then a couple of weeks ago I had a fall. Haven't fallen years and years, and then boom, I was doing way too many things. Today, no, every little thing was, I'm supposed to be doing that, but you know what, I've got to go there and defend that. Why? Because there's copyright on this and that and that and the other. What a great expression, Jolie. It's like holding the world up above your head. Actually, that's really, really good, especially with the fact that we're seeing our figure's head in a bandage. Indeed, it is like holding the world up against your head. It's so hard. Isn't that beautiful? You read somewhere, maybe I should try and stretch that so that it's easier to read. There you go, rather than it all being squashed up. No, she's saying the wall. War, sorry. Oh, I'm going to put that up again. You read somewhere that this card is a man on the front line after war, missing an arm and a leg. We don't see it in the picture, but I can hear you. Exhausted, but still at the front line. You always think of the card this way. Absolutely. Battered, you know. In some way, it's incredibly hard. We've got to keep rethinking, haven't we? And reevaluating. And it's about protecting. And events can only be moving once. And the planted ones behind him, they represent the problems that need to be resolved. And they probably keep coming up time and time again. That's like life does. You know, I thought I dealt with that, now it's back again. Oh, I've just done that. How many times have you done something? So we've got the Hierophant next to this. So the Hierophant is official red tape, you know, governments, councils, passports, immigration, certificates, those kind of things. All that red tape, HR, filling in forms, all that kind of stuff. That stuff that actually makes you go, oh, I've done this and it's back again. That's exactly what this card is like. And it's all about, it drains you. So no wonder it's in the action. Here we go. We've got this fabulous Taurus is the neck and the throat. Gemini indeed is the shoulders and lungs. You'd like to get the information from you because you've realised that since following you, not all the information I have is correct. I actually think you're right on those two. This came up in my astrology class last night, but I've done it before too. Almond was brilliant. I'll tell you what he did say. You know the planet Saturn? You know, that thing that comes and puts a brick wall in your way as you hit 30 years of age, because it's where Saturn was and when you were born, and in what house and what part of life, and also in the context of it's the house that it's in. And if you do the courses that I teach you here, it is about using the houses so you can see what area of your life it's affecting. The major card will also tell you a lot about the major things. And the next part of this is the minor arcana will then tell you the background influences. So you could look and go, okay, let's look at the Hierophant. Let's say it's turning up as in your house of possessions. Yeah, there is a part in the spread that's your possessions. And you get this? You might be trying to hold on to everything because red tape's going, sorry, you've got to do this, you're going to lose it all. And it may not be logical, but it still takes the energy to actually go. It doesn't have to make sense to have to deal with things. We'd love it that everything's logical and everything's sensible. I'm sorry, it's my plastic bottle of water that was just expanding, you know, when you pour something out and then it kind of pops back into shape. So absolutely, it's not a problem you can ignore. And you heard that too. You heard that story of what the Queen of Cups was telling us, that the man on the front line after the war. And that's beautiful that you shared that with us, because someone else might remember that. You know, I can actually remember the first time I probably heard somebody talk about this card in a tutorial when I was training in tarot and psychic development and intuition way back. I'd read books, but it was the little white book, which can not give you enough, and very difficult for me to get literature where I was growing up. And there was nobody that did this kind of thing. This was just me. And if you look at my natal chart, it's full of, I'm fascinated by this whole thing. It's just a complete way of life for me to want to actually explore all of this, you know. But my point being that I remember the teacher talking about this, and she went, this guy is not delegating, and things have already got out of control. That is what's happening behind him. You know, he's bandaged and he's not giving up, and he shouldn't give up, but he should have delegated a lot sooner, you know. And that is, you know, we've all got our thing. And it's great if we know what it's about. Whenever you see this in a reading, you know that person is kind of probably not delegating that responsibility. And those problems do keep coming back up again. And they are things, you can't just go, I'm not doing that. Well, you can, but there might be some real consequences for that. So we've got to remember that when this card's coming up, it's about not giving up, not giving in, no matter how exhausted we are. And what can we delegate to other people? What lessons have we learned from the past? How much are we willing to stay on track? How hard has it been? To focus on what others can do to support us, or how they're adding to the problem. You know, and if we worry about what they're going to do all the time, we are going to be completely distracted and not protecting or defending ourselves. And this is a card that can show extreme loyalty to a cause of something that's completely out of hand. You know, oh, it keeps happening. But the loyalty to the situation is like, hold on a minute, I'm nearly there. Good. Because they won't leave that problem, no matter how tiresome the situation is, just because we've run out of steam for a while. Sometimes we just need to recoup and say, hold on a minute, you keep watch for a while while I just go off and do whatever. You know, sometimes being in the suit of wands and being in the element of fire, sometimes it's not about having a rest. Sometimes it's actually about changing where your energy is going from one place to another. You know, you could be exhausted. Maybe the best thing to do is to go and do something physical, go for a walk, you know, do whatever it is you need to do. All right. So, yeah, there's an awful lot of things that's there. So others might be counting on your help, but now it's a time to put yourself first. So you've got to try and make sure that you're not involving anything that's sapping or draining your energy levels at this time, as tiredness is the companion of this card, physical tiredness. And you know you can get second wind, but second wind is shifting gear. It's not always, as I said, about resting. You know, and another thing that I would share with you is I remember as a child, probably about 10, last time, I remember being at my granny's in Ireland, and I was visiting a girl across the road that lived, they had a shop and it was very exciting. They sold little penny bars of chocolate. Cadbury's chocolate, never seen anything like it at home. You got a big bar or whatever, but this was just novel. And we were very excited. We'd had a wonderful day, and I remember Maria Harris's granny saying to us, okay, it's time now for bed. And we were like, we're not tired. And she said, you know something? You don't need to sleep. You just need to rest. You know, if you're in bed, you're having a rest. And if you're not sleeping, no matter, just rest your weary bodies. Never forgotten that one either. So, you know, I was like, so I don't have to sleep. It takes the anxiety out of the fact that sometimes we can't. So we might be so aware of our own powers and determination, but sometimes we need to be wise enough to know we're not going to win the battle. Okay? So, yeah, this is like the weary soldier, taking one last stand, not giving up. So some key words for this card are perseverance, persistence, being very stoic, hidden reserves, defensive, protective, one last stand, keeping the enemy away, fighting your corner, ongoing battles, being caught up off your guard, delegation, too many commitments, fatigue. So, you know, if this comes up in a reading, you've got to be ready to defend yourself. And it can suggest that you're committed to a cause and you're prepared to do anything for it. And you can take it all the way, and there's no one and nothing to stop you. And you might be the last man standing. That's familiar with that lone soldier, you see. And you might have that stamina to resist and overcome all of the opposition. You know, being that stoic and enduring is very admirable. And others might be relying upon you to save the day. And you might have acted in such a selfless manner by putting yourself there in danger in order to save or defend others, you know, the hero. But with the Nine of Wands, there is a tendency to always be in a battle, to constantly be, maybe even coming to others' aid in their defence. You know, it's their battle. But we've got to make sure that we don't do that, because it will isolate us from others. And then we might go, well, why is everyone keeping away? And that's a part of life, isn't it? So we might have to address the situation by reflecting on all of our past actions, i.e. those 8 wands behind. And we might need to break the cycle. And yeah, we are battle weary and fed up with the constant cycle of conflict. But it's also indicating that, you know, we might constantly need to challenge or prove that we're doing the best that we can. Just remember, we don't need to excel at everything. Even specialists, experts, they're experts in a teeny tiny bit. Remember that. And it might sound great, you know, brain surgeons, and you might go, oh, can you tell me about anaesthetics or the bunion on my foot? And they go, no, people trained in medicine, but I specialise here and can't go specialising in all of it. That's general medicine. It's a long time since I did it. I'm now, you know, a consultant, and I'm doing brain surgery. Don't ask me about that. But seriously, you'd go, sure. Some people might go, oh, I thought you were a doctor. You know, we're just going to use a bit of common sense. So we don't need to be good at everything. It's like people may say to you, oh, you're psychic, you do this. And you might go, I do everything. And you do. But you know that saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Nice to touch them all. But, you know, if your love is tarot, just keep adding a little, keep adding a little, keep adding a little. I'm going to put the keywords on, seeing as I've just talked about them, and I'll be back with you in a moment. you're not good at astrology at all, no matter, no matter. But if you want to do your tarot and you want to add a little tiny piece of it, just bring it in, as in maybe just do the 4 suits. That's nice and simple, Wands, what are they? Fire. What are the astrological star signs? Aries, who do you know that's an Aries? Think of them. Leo, who do you know that's a Leo? Think of them. And, Sagittarius, well, I've got one straight away. I've got the passionate Saggy, and you, Queen of Cups, knows that, you see? So, yeah, if you kind of go, right, that's one, and then you've only got another 3 there. The reason I say that, Queen of Cups, is with tarot, I think we can get lost if we don't know where to look for someone. And it's, I don't think you were here the other day, were you, when we did the 8 of Wands? Go back and have a look at that. That really will help you. Just touch. Don't be an expert in it. You don't need to. I'll never be an expert in it, but I very much know what I'm talking about when it comes to tarot. Not when I'm actually doing natal charts, practicing on that. And I think I will probably just bring it in for my study of it. I had a Sagittarius today. She was asking about quite a few things. We had an hour's call, and I had a quick look at her natal chart because she's a regular client of mine, and I had, I said, would you like me to look at your natal chart? Send me your details. You're my customer. So there you go. Oh, go and have a look at that one. That's the one that I put up and went, yep, I've edited that because the lighting went a bit wonky. So I took it out, so I put it in the podcast. And then YouTube went to me, you can't use that music on that actual bit where you put this. It was like, oh my gosh, that's all set for tonight to actually show you and to play, I don't want to just show you things and not go on about it. But we did some numerology, and we did some planets, and we did some astrology, and we did it really simply. And also, Queen of Cups, if you are not sure about astrology and you just want to know a tiny bit, I did something on my blogs. I've gone for a celeb or somebody famous, and I've referred to them as Queen of Cups, as in a star sign, and giving you 5 examples of people you might know. So if we don't know an Aquarius, for example, in our lives, I may not have done Aquarius. Having said that, let me just tell you, I've done the blogs, as in, I don't know when I started. I believe I may have started with Aries. And of course, we are currently, I've got Scorpio up there because we are now officially in Scorpio. And that can help where you go, I think of that. I'll tell you, the Emperor, I know loads of Aries, but guess who I see? Alan Sugar. And he may not even be an Aries. I've not actually thought about whether or not, not everyone knows who Alan Sugar is. Probably do, but Americans may not be the first thing they think of, as in, so I tried to do it so worldwide people would get it, and it will help you. And when I was studying tarot, when I was teaching tarot, my students were studying, I used to get them to pick somebody famous or something that was currently happening where we knew a lot about what was going on. Some did Madonna, one did Nigel Farage. That one was because we were thinking of going into Brexit, and of course, that happened, but we were looking at what was going on with him and would he actually get what he wanted out of it. And Gwen, my student, she looked at that. I think James looked at Madonna. I think that Jess, she looked at some hero of hers, as in rock singer that she very much liked. And it was really important because then you could actually look at their cards, and we could use that as an exercise. And then you could go on to Google and look up to see if it was right. Or you could look at the cards and let's say they cheated and looked at Google first. So what? You know, did the cards make sense to the story that they knew, the narrative? It all helps. Okay, great question. Great question. All right, I will answer that for you. Okay, so I go, oh, I don't know, get it all the time. And it's like, here we go. So it's like, okay, because I haven't got a star sign for them, and that's how I really want to pick them up, I'm going to ask you to describe them a little bit to me. And they go, well, they're tall and they're blonde, or they're dark and they are, you know, 5'2", whatever it is. And you can listen to that because that can help you. Or they're of Mediterranean appearance, or, you know, they are coming from a different culture, speak a different language, whatever you want to. They'll say all sorts. What I'm looking for, and I'll listen to that, but I'll say to them, actually, would you say they're very sensitive? Straight away, I'm looking to see if they're a water sign. Would you say that they are a little, their communication is really sort of sharp, razor sharp, or a bit flaky even, you know? Then I'm looking at air. You know, also, are they somebody that's off the mark, or fire signs? You know, they're never lazy. They're always involved in something, you know, and do they follow up with what they say they do? Or is this person a little traditional, you know, in which case they're earthy? You know, are they reliable, stability? So it's those kind of traits that will help you. And remember that if they say, I think they're a Libra, and there's a lot of people that come from the country India. I'm sure it happens other places, but my clients, they've gone, can you look at mum? And I go, what's the star sign? It's like, well, on a passport it says this, but they never registered her birth. But she thinks her birthday is in June, but we celebrate it in May. Did you follow that? Yeah? And I will go, right, okay, to celebrate her birthday in X. Let's go with that. That's fine. Let me tell you something else. In numerology, if you wanted to look at what the numbers add up to in your name, so you could look at Anne-Marie, okay, then you could look at my surname. Or you could, I've used me, all right, or I could just look at Anne. I'm not known as Anne. That probably wouldn't make any sense, right? I know people shorten it, but it's not something I'm familiar with, so it's not my nickname. Whereas if you've got a nickname and everyone calls you by that, and let's say that sometimes my brother's called Robert, so people will call him Rob or Bob, or some people call him Nobby. Where does that come from? Does it matter? Now, in numerology, it's okay to look up any of those nicknames because it still accurately applies to that person. So do not worry if they're known as Jack and Jill and their real names are Margaret. My Auntie May, I only just worked out that it's short for Margaret. You know, Margaret, sometimes we get Max, Peggy. How do we get Peggy from that? Can you see my point? It doesn't matter. And the other one, you know, my brother was called Norbert. Someone called him Norbert at work, so everyone called him that. It's a QS, so, you know, I'm sure in his industry, what did it matter? QSs are worldwide international people, you know, every culture under the sun working on, you know, projects that my brother worked on in Dubai and things like that. So, of course, it can be, and it sticks. So don't worry. So if you are known as Queen of Cups or you are known as the Passionate Saji and you want to do your numerology on that name because you identify with that, that's what you do in numerology. The same in tarot. So if you don't know the astrological sign, you might get a gut feeling and go, oh, you know what, they're really hot and cold. And you go, okay, sounds like Mercury in retrograde, so we're getting there, all right. And they go, you know what, I think there might be, I think there might be Libra. You go, okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, they remind me of my dad. He's a Libra. That's fine. That's what you do. Because it works. So it's bolted to that. And, you know, sometimes I'll go a bit deeper and look at me and I'll look at, you know, my moon in the cards. Instead of just looking at my Cancerian, the Chariot, I will actually look at the Strength card for Leo. You know, and quite often the Death card because I've got Scorpio rising. So I hope that helps, okay? Right, we are well going over time. I had loads more to say, but, you know, just know that this is a card where this person's given their all and they're refusing to comply. They're tired and they're fed up and they're probably sick to the teeth of the whole situation. And they want to give up and they want to throw in the towel. That's the last thing they should do, because it's all about patience and persevering, and that we mustn't take no for an answer. And the Nine of Wands can suggest to you that you're giving it your all and you're giving it your very best shot. And when you get knocked down, dust yourself down and stand back up, because we've got the stamina to do it. You just might need to walk away, even if it's to do something physical or have a rest, but to do something different, because we are tough and we can survive this. It's don't give up. Make one last stand, your very best yet, and finish what you started, because this is a card of real character building stuff for sure. Right, I'm going to show you the courses and see what you think of this. I had to change music on this one too, half an hour before I came on. So I want you to watch it. Okay, so I'm going to also just say to you, I made this up. Take a screenshot of it if you want to, as in when you watch it back. Here's some of the things that I wanted to ask you if you'd like to actually talk about as we go through our tutorials. So let me put it up there. Oh, it's brought me to me. It's not showed at all. Let's try that again. There you go. Yeah, so, you know, if you want to learn more, all these kind of things that we can talk about, all right? So as I said, you can take a screenshot of that. And don't forget, if you miss anything, to make sure that you go and look at Thursday's podcast, which is the Learn Tarot, all about the tutorial, okay? And so, yeah, kind of brings it to a bit of a natural sort of conclusion, okay? So I'm having trouble getting my scene back to where it needs to be, so I'm going to pop that up there. Right, any questions, anybody? Anything that you want sort of, yeah? Do think about what you'd like. I can always do some more of that if that's what you'd like. But, you know, up to now, we do run out of time simply because there is so much that we can say. Thank you so much for your comments tonight. That's really fab. And And so, yeah, I'll see you Tuesday, and we'll be looking at how to read this card with the Major Arcana. And from that, that'll lead us up to number 10 this time next week, Thursday, 31st of October. And happy birthday to all those babies that have got their birthday on Halloween. I'm sure they will be doing whatever they want. My pleasure. So I hope that helped. I wouldn't say go with your instinct. I would say listen to them. They'll describe something. You'll pick something up from there. And if you don't, go with your hunch. Go with that. You know, just go, sounds like they're really traditional. I'm going to pick an earth sign, sounding as if they are a bit stubborn. Let's go for this one, that one, or the other. Or, you know, they're really sensitive, or they're flaky in their communication, or they are, you know, really quite lively soul and lots of energy. Aries, you know, you'd get that. You can always turn around and go to the tarot. Okay, I'm just going to pull the top Major Arcana card. What have I got? And if it's a planet and it's not actually an astrological one, you have to improvise sometimes. As I said, listen to the story of what I said. People don't know when they were born. You know, and it's yeah. And I've had it for years, ever since I began. So yes, it's not helpful to our method, but yes, a brilliant, brilliant question. I'm so glad that you actually brought that up, because I would have forgotten that. Okay, so it's Thursday. That means we're coming up for a weekend. I do hope you have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for your company, and you're very, very welcome, Passionate Saji. Thanks, Queen of Cups, and everybody that commented tonight. Nice to meet you, Jenny James. And yeah, we'll see you all really, really soon. Until then, bye for now.